The Munambam Land War, Waqf Board versus the people, fate or fraud. Imagine one morning you wake up to find that the land beneath your home no longer belongs to you, not because you sold it, not because you lost it, but because a board, silent for nearly 7 decades, suddenly declares this land is ours. This is the story of Munambam, a coastal village in Kerala's Ernakulam district, where over 600 families found themselves trapped between faith, law, and power. What began as a legal claim turned into a war for identity, justice, and survival. And at the heart of it all stood the Kerala Waqf Board. The land and its people. Munambam, a calm fishing village on Kerala's coast, has been home to generations of families, fishermen, traders, and small landowners who built homes, raised children, and paid taxes believing this land was rightfully theirs. For decades, Munambam was just a symbol of coexistence, Christian, Hindu, and Muslim families living side by side. But beneath that harmony, history was quietly waiting to resurface. The 1950 deed. The roots of the Munambam land dispute go back to 1st November 1950. A man named Muhammad Siddiq Said executed a deed transferring 404 acres of land to the Farouk College Managing Committee. The document was registered as a gift deed, not a religious endowment. There was no mention of Waqf, no statement of permanent donation for religious use, which under Islamic law is the key condition for classifying this land as Waqf property. Life went on as usual. Over time, portions of the land were sold, leased, and developed. Hundreds of families bought plots legally, but built homes, and settled. 7 decades of silence. For 69 years, there was no claim, no dispute, no objection from the Kerala Waqf Board. Ownership remained with private individuals. Families paid taxes and properties were mutated in government records. In 2019, the Kerala Waqf Board suddenly declared the entire 404-acre stretch of Munambam as Waqf property. The board said the 1950 deed was, in fact, a Waqf dedication. That interpretation, never made in 70 years, changed everything overnight. Revenue records froze. People could no longer sell, transfer, or mortgage their land. Families holding government-verified ownership documents were suddenly branded as illegal occupiers. Fear spread like fire. Notices, warnings, and talk of evictions shook the whole coastal village. Behind every land notice, there was a person, a widow who spent her life savings behind a house on a 4-cent plot. A fisherman whose land was the only inheritance for his children. A family that paid land tax for decades, now told that they lived on Waqf land. To demand themselves, locals formed the Munambam Land Protection Council, uniting under one banner, not religion but rights. The legal battle then began. In 2020, the residents approached the Kerala High Court. Their petition argued the 1950 document was a gift deed, not a Waqf deed. The Waqf Board's 69-year delay was arbitrary and unlawful. And most importantly, citizens cannot be punished for institutional silence. The Waqf Board, in response, stood firm, claiming historical religious ownership and invoking the Waqf Act's powers to declare properties even after long periods. The High Court verdict of 2025. In October 2025, a division bench of the Kerala High Court, Justices A.B. Dharmadhikari and Shyamkumar, delivered a landmark judgment. The court declared that the 1950 deed was not Waqf property but a gift deed. There was no legal dedication to religious use. The Waqf Board's declaration, made after 7 decades, was termed bad in law, arbitrary, a land-grabbing tactic. The bench observed that allowing such delayed and unverified claims would set a dangerous precedent that even the Taj Mahal or the Red Fort could one day be claimed as Waqf. The court restored the Government Inquiry Commission led by Justice C.N. Ramachandran Nair to continue investigating the land's historical and legal status. However, while the bench stopped short of completely squashing all the board's prior orders, it made one thing clear: the state is not bound by the Waqf Board arbitrary declaration. Following the verdict, the Kerala Chief Minister called for an urgent review meeting to decide how to implement the judgment and restore revenue rights to residents. Political reaction poured in. The BJP hailed it as a victory for justice and demanded swift restoration of land rights. The IUML insisted that the land had religious significance and claimed the court ignored historical intent, while the UDF opposition criticized the government for years of inaction, and the left government accused the BJP of communalizing a legal issue. Meanwhile, residents of Munambam celebrated, lighting lamps on their rooftops, holding up copies of the court order like trophies of freedom. But amidst the celebrations, one sobering truth emerged. The once 404-acre land has now shrunk to 135 acres, swallowed by decades of coastal erosion. A cruel metaphor for how time erodes both land and memory. The Waqf Board in trouble. As the dust settled, another storm brewed. A fresh petition was filed in High Court seeking reconstitution of the Kerala State Waqf Board, whose term expired in December 2024. The broader question: the Munambam judgment has become more than just victory for one village. It is now a precedent on one that refines or redefines how India must handle Waqf declarations. How can a property declared Waqf after it was sold and taxed privately? Who verifies authenticity? And where do citizens go when the state institutions stay silent? Munambam is no longer just a name on Kerala's map. It's a story of silence, struggle, and survival. A reminder that when law sleeps and power speaks, ordinary people can still rise, armed with not force but with faith in justice. Over 600 families, justice came through decades but late. But their fight ensured no one else will have to beg for the right to their own soil. Because Munambam proved one thing: faith cannot override law, and justice, even delayed, can still unmask power. This was the Unmasked Indian. Faith, power, justice, always unmasked. Stay tuned.